Okay, welcome everybody to the Penny Stock Billionaire Chart Chat, where we talk about the charts of the next 10 bagger, 100 bagger type stocks up on our screen. Of course, we got Peak Fintech, which became our second 20 bagger in the last 18 months. So we've had already seven stocks that have increased between a little bit over 1,000, 1,200%, and 5,000%. Of course, CBDT was the big one. That was a 50 bagger, went from a nickel to 250. We have Cytodyne, which went from 35 cents, actually 50 cents really, to $10.01. And Peak, one of our latest winners, introduced at 35 cents last September, 70 cents when you count in the reverse split. So that basically up 20x, 20 bagger. And of course, our goal now is to find the next big winner. Look, my theory is always, you want to get into these stocks, you want to parlay your winners. So ideally, in most situations, stocks, they go up 1,000%, 1,500%. They come down, you can get in maybe again. But the idea again is you want to keep rolling from one winner to the next. So if you start, for example, look, we've had a number of people on our who you've met to some capacity, that have started with a couple $1,000s, have turned it to, we got in one case that you met Calvin Ting, he turned it into over $1 million. Now we just have another guy in Montreal. Was it Yves? Whatever, the French guy in Quebec, who I think he's officially now a penny stock millionaire or billionaire, we'll call him, who's made a bunch of cash parlaying these winners. So now the idea is, what is going to be that next 10x to 100x? Again, you've already seen a whole bunch of them, and we need to find the next one. So I'm going to start off with some of our current stable right now. I'm going to start with Fans Unite, which, again, we have two stocks in our universe right now which already increased, 12x, 14x, 1,200%, 1,400%. They came down, and now they built a base. So now there's going to be I believe a second big wave where you could have another chance to make a 10x. And again, any stock, I always believe, like any stock that's been a 10 bagger in the past, they could always become a 10 bagger again. So let's start with Fans Unite. So again, it's a stock we introduced last literally over last August, I think, around this time, 20 cents roughly. Hit a high of over $2. It's pulled back here, and it's been building a very nice base over the last, let's see, how long has the base been going? 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 months. I think we're almost done with the base building, and it's going to start moving up. So there you go. Here's another one of our penny stock billionaires, Jeremy Hunter. He bought a new Tesla with his winnings from PKK. I hope you cashed in some of that money. I mean, I hope you're not holding on to, I hope you're not using margin to buy that car. Send in a picture. We got to see the pictures. And you got to get the license, like a customized license plate will say something like 10 bagger or something crazy. So yeah, there you go. All right. So listen, we got hundreds of people. I think we probably have there's got to be hundreds of people who have made massive amount of money, because the number of people that we actually hear from, it's like 1%. It's like, when people, there used to be a rule of thumb, like people who call into a radio station, it's like 1 out of 10,000 listeners. So for every person that calls in, it means there's 10,000 people listening. That was kind of the rule of thumb. Whatever the number was. So we have it's the same thing over here. So for every person that we actually hear from, there's a couple hundred people who just, they're you'll never see them on a live chat. You never see them anyway. They kind of keep quiet, whatever, which is fine. So let's get into fans. Yeah, listen. You know what else was frustrating? PKK was frustrating for about 6 months, and then you had the big pop. So I think the same thing is going to happen with fans right now. Same thing is going to happen with fans. We've built up a pretty nice base. Let me see this base over here. Yeah, we've built up a pretty decent base. The question is, when is it going to break out? And again, if you've been watching these live streams for the last year or so, you probably remember how often I said, hey, peak is going to break out. And it took longer. It almost took twice as long, and then eventually it happened. I mean, I said peak was going to break out about $3 range. It's going to break out. It's going to break out, and finally it broke out. It took 3 months longer than it was supposed to. And there you go. So same thing is going to happen with fans. I think the base is going to pretty much I would say within a week of hitting the bottom, and from there it's going to bounce. It could be the bottom now. You really don't know. This is such a weird, this stock does like always weird things, which always frustrates people. So, this could be the bottom right here, 73 cents, or it could even go, maybe it could test 65 cents, just this kind of bottom of that range. It could do that. I don't think it will. But even if it does, I think it's pretty safe there. My gut instinct tells me that we're seeing the bottom right here, and it's going to start turning around. Let's actually go into the 1 hour chart, because I think that kind of gives us a little more of an indication of what's happening. Yeah, take a look at this. You see this thing is building a base. You see, look what's happening with the MACD line here, the crossover. This thing kind of it doesn't want to go down. That's what this chart is telling you. It's looking for an excuse to move up. It basically needs to break above like 77, 80 cents. 90 cents is kind of your resistance. Once it breaks out of 90 cents, I think it's going to be on track to $2 again. So let me just run. Okay, so before I missed the disclaimer. Yeah, so everything we talk about here is this should be considered paid content. These are very high risk stocks. You could lose all your money. Again, very high risk stocks. We've seen all these things go up and down a lot. Do your due diligence. Disclaimers below and the links below. All that other good stuff. And of course, here are some of our big winners. And yes. Okay, so yeah, we'll talk about VSB in just a second. We're going to go into VSB. We got a bunch of charts. Things are really starting to cook right now. So fans is looking, I think, pretty good. We're close to a bottom right here. Let's go into another one, which is a related stock. That's ESE Entertainment. That has been doing the same thing. I think we're kind of near the bottom here. So this is not enough data here, but let's do the 1 day chart. Yeah. Look at this. You've been building kind of this base for the same amount of time, 5 months roughly. Very similar charts, right? I think what's going to happen is both of these, because both of them are in the esports, interact, this betting, all that stuff. These things are going to start running in the next, literally it could start any day. We're starting to see like the betting, the sports betting stuff is hot. Esports is hot. So these things kind of got, they may have gotten a little bit ahead of themselves back in February, March. So they've had to consolidate. to build a base, and then they can hit new highs. Again, I think it's very healthy for these stocks to pull back, consolidate, build a base, and then make another move up. So ESC fans, both very similar situation here. So let's see here. We got ESC. Let me go through a couple more. We're going to talk about Logic, AIML, Visby, of course. By the way, the edited video is up online right now. Visby, RHT, and TBP. I'm going to jump to TBP real quick. This is basically, again, this had a nice move, had an explosive move. So we introduced this around, I don't know, 18 cents or so, 17 cents back in March. It popped to over 50 cents. So it was a triple, basically. Very quick, but the move up was very quick. And it's been consolidating for the last couple of months. So we're in 1, 2, 3, 4-month consolidation. I think we're just about done. Again, this is a stock that's looking for an excuse to move. So it's kind of like a sleeping dragon. I mean, so I think what the chart is waiting for is a piece of news. So once there's some news on some of the clinical trials or anything else, this thing can explode. And again, this, Tetra has a history of just making massive moves, like what you saw here, what you saw in the past. I mean, this is a volatile stock. So this thing can move. And again, it's been hanging out. It's been kind of hanging out in this range. It hasn't crashed down like what it's done in the past. It's been hanging out in this range. It's kind of, it's sort of like a surfer that's in the water. It rode a big wave. Now it's just sitting on a paddleboard, waiting for that next massive wave. That's what this thing is doing. It's kind of waiting to ride that next wave. Let's go into Logic. Again, Logic, I think, is going to be one of our big winners, and it's moving slowly. It's really incredible. Like, this is like, it's like a train. It's like leaving the station, speeds up and slows down, speeds up. And I think at some point, this thing is just going to explode. So again, just for some context, we introduced it last year at around 350 or so, and ran to 14 bucks. So it was right here. We got a nice double bottom right here, and the stock is building a really nice base. If you look at this chart right now, you got, I don't know, you want to call it a pennant, whatever you see happening right here, it's looking for an excuse to go up. Take a look at this 1 hour chart. So look what happened today at the end of this is a chart that wants to go up. And look at the MACD line, the crossover. So for tomorrow, this thing is looking bullish. I think this is and I think once we get to a couple of good closes above $4, it's going to go to $6-7 plus, and then this is going to be very easily a $14-15 stock in the before the end of the year, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see with Visby. Yeah. So the great thing with Visby today is, I'm going to jump into that Visby chart right now, is today's format was, I just told Jay, look, we got to show people, because with the last bunch of things we had was just Q&A, like, we got to show people stuff, right? So because they got a lot of great videos, and so I said, look, we got to show some demos so people can see what the thing actually looks like, because then they'll really understand it. So today we did that. I think we're going to do more of that. I think we're going to have to more of these, like, in depth, like through different features of their platform, their tech platform. We're going to cover more in depth, more demos and stuff like that. I think it'll be very impressive. Let's look at that Visby chart. Okay, so this is the 1 hour. Okay, so Visby. So we introduced it right here, about 17 cents back in November. right around Thanksgiving, and it just exploded right after that. And again, you had a consolidation happening for 1, 2, 3, 4 months roughly. Now, look what's happening right now. It's very interesting. You see, in the last month, there's been a lot more volume coming in. The last 4 weeks, you see volume picking up. It was a little bit quiet in the summer, but as you got to the end of August, you have volume coming in. Notice it broke above the 50-day moving average, and it bounced. You have that key reversal. It bounced off that moving average a couple of times. So that means that this thing wants to go up. And today's chart, this pattern, really nice chart pattern. I mean, this thing is just primed to explode. Easily, I think this is going to be over $1 next week. Yeah. I mean, let's see what is going on here. So this is the 1 hour chart. I can't really tell that much from this chart. I mean, it's obviously it's a bullish chart, but from the daily chart, you can see that this thing just wants to go up. So I would not be surprised at all. I mean, I would almost bet that next week this is going to be over $1. I think next week it'll be over $1. And long term, meaning over the next couple of months, I think we're going to see. So there's not a lot of data on this. It's a relatively new company, as a public company. So I think, based on kind of on this chart, sort of in terms of, you could see $3 plus, probably by December. I think once it breaks out of $1, you're going to see a massive run in the stock. So this is a very, very, this thing is really primed to move. Yeah, so we're going to have more of those. I'm going to have Jay do more of these demos where he really shows you what it is. That would do Q&A, because I think it's much more, I think right now at this point, I think people, it's more helpful for people to see what they're doing, because it's, it's a visual story, right? Visby, the whole thing is, it's a visual story. You really got to see it. Look at this. This guy bought Hodel Properties. This is funny. I love that name. Okay. He bought his. Now the question is, did you cash in the stock? What did you do? I mean, I don't want to hear stories about people who are like, they're taking money out of margin, and this thing goes, and then when the thing crashes back, then you don't want to have that problem. I mean, you want to pull money out of these things. I think, look, again, one thing very important. It's important to separate a business from a stock, valuation from a business, right? So, look, Peak Fintech. I mean, I can go through any list of companies we've had on. Nice business, great story, but look, the question is the business worth that amount? Is Peak Fintech worth $1.5 billion right now, fully diluted? Is it worth $1.5 billion, $2 billion? I mean, come on, $2 billion, $1.5 billion. I mean, that is projecting out, 20x revenue next year's price to perfection. That's a big number. I like things. Look, I always believe it's very important to have a margin of safety. I like that Warren Buffett approach. I like stocks where they're undervalued. Even for example, RHT, any of these stocks. They're undervalued. Visby's undervalued still. The multiples are low. Logic, perfect example. Logic is trading at LGIQ is trading at 2 times revenues, right? It's a company doing 37 million in revenues, right? And I mean, they could easily ramp this up. I mean, they could ramp it up to 100 million through a couple of acquisitions, through their their online, the digital marketing business that they have now. I mean, this company has a lot of catalysts to go to 100 million by next year. So, it could be trading at 10x, right? Again, TBP, great example. TBP should be trading at, right now, I mean, if this was like a regular biotech stock based on what they have in the pipeline, $2, $1.50, $2. So you have massive upside. I like things which have that massive upside still, right? Once a stock becomes like fully priced, once something is already trading at 10 times next year's revenues, forward looking, then it's already, look, the idea is these are not NASDAQ blue chip stocks where you can, okay, you could make some argument or whatever, right? These are CSE penny stocks, basically, right? High risk. In the case of Peak, they're already operating in China. There's a lot of risk factors, right? I love the stock when it was, a couple bucks. But when you go to a certain number, now again, nothing to do with the business. The business could be fine. It's just the valuation has to be cheap, right? The valuation has to be cheap. It can't be $1.5 billion valuation. It's just crazy. Because then then the company gets priced to perfection. It just, never works. We've been through this with how many companies? We can go through the list. Nextech, CBDT. Every one of our things which went up 20x, whatever, ahead of its, when things get ahead of themselves, they pull back. That's what happens. So it's very important to pull profits. So what does this guy say? Okay, he's got cash left after buying the house. Shit, the house prices have exploded. So this guy must have had a lot of shares, 97%. Okay, so it's good. You leave a little bit. You hold on to a couple of shares, that way you don't feel the FOMO or anything, right? We're going to be talking, of course, we're going to talk about RHT. What we need? I need I need testimonials. You gotta send something to our Twitter so we can repost this. Actually, no, hang on. I'm gonna take a screenshot. Of this. So we're gonna use this as a testimonial for marketing purposes. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Visby. Oh, Chris. Hey, listen, Chris, first of all, I want you to know, I actually appreciate you asking a lot of questions. You ask actually very good questions. You make my job so much easier, detailed questions. I remember you from CloudMD, the CloudMD days when you actually numbered the questions 1 through 8, and Isam would answer all the questions. So good to have you back. One thing I need to point out, which I think you probably understand this, is that I think what's compelling. Oh. Okay, I think, okay. Sorry, the internet thing cut out. I think what's very compelling about Relic compared to CloudMD or some of the others or Well or whatever it is what you have with Relic, with RHT, is a pure play telemedicine. It's a pure play telemedicine deal, right? It's not a bunch of other things. It's one pure thing. And that always is the most valuable type of business when it's one pure play. I think I talked about it in the last live stream. I'm going to pull up. Okay, so Logic. I mentioned Logic. Let me just go to RHT because this guy's talking about RHT. So I just want to touch on that right now. Okay, so RHT is, I'm going to look at actually RQHTF just to give you better perspective, because that's the US symbol and it's got a lot more data. So, and you can translate into Canadian dollars, whatever. Okay, so what you have here is you have an uptrend that is still in the early stages, because if you look at it, the next level of resistance is possibly $1.50. I don't even think it's $2 is really the number. I think $2 is going to be a psychological number. That's $2 US, so let's call $2.50 Canadian. What you see happening here is you see higher highs. This is a classic uptrend. Higher highs, higher lows. I mean, what else do I need to tell you? And what you see happening here is you have this coiling type of thing where it's waiting to break out of this little pattern here. It's waiting for a breakout. And once that happens, you're going to see a move to, probably $1. $1.50 is the next level. So that's $1.50 US, by the way. Yeah, look at this chart, man. I mean, this is the US chart. I mean, this is an amazing chart. I mean, it's bouncing off this 50-period moving average. You have the MACD about to cross over. I think this is ready to explode. I mean, I think Relic is going to see $1.50 US, so that's about $2 Canadian in the next 10 days, roughly 10 days. I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to see massive move here. Let's see. So I talked about RHT, Logic. Again, Logic, easily going to be a $14, $15 stock. Still at the bottom. Let's take a look here. What's next on our hit parade? Visby. Let me go back to Visby. So Visby, here's the 1 hour chart. Let me go back to the daily. Yeah, so I think, again, this thing is ready to break out. We're going to see probably $1 within the next week. And once it breaks $1, I think this stock, once it breaks $1, it's just going to run. It's going to be, $2, $3 easily. I mean, what you're seeing here, it's the same thing. It's the same pattern we've seen over and over with all of our 10 bagger stocks. They all kind of, it's the same pattern that kind of plays out. Not only in terms of the chart, but in terms of the whole business development, the life cycle, the growth cycle, etc. Because you have to realize, look, our whole approach with these next super stocks is, again, the thing I talk about, it's not just like a marketing gimmick. This is like the real deal. So the companies we bring you on the next super stock platform, the live stream, is they have those three things in common. Obviously they're going after the big multi-billion-dollar opportunities, but the idea is we bring them to you right when they're at that inflection point, when they're at that point when they're going into that massive growth phase, that big growth phase, and they have the multiple catalysts to drive value. So you see that happening. I mean, Visby, they're at that inflection point. They were there when we introduced them. They started moving pretty much right away. They started putting out all the milestones. Same thing happening with Relic, RHT. Absolutely, Relic is a perfect example. All the contracts started coming out. So we introduced Relic back in February or so. So it was about, I think, how much was it? I think it was I think it was here. I think it was 70. It was about 70 cents, I think. So it had a quick pop. And then, the market kind of fell apart in February, March, a very rough time for micro caps. And here we are. We're back to new highs. So, again, in Canadian dollars, for the Canadian dollars, we could be seeing, probably $1.75, $2 next 10 days, I think. Yeah. So Visby. Okay, here's the thing. What's really interesting with Visby. By the way, I encourage everybody, if you want to get the fundamentals. On this thing, we're only talking about the charts. Really, I don't want to get into the fundamentals. It's a lot of details. But take a look at the video with Visby. It's on our channel right now. Here's what you have to realize. There's a lot of companies in the microcap world. You'll see a lot of these guys saying, "Oh yeah, we're a Microsoft partner. We're this, that." All that means is that they bought some software license for $1,000, whatever. It doesn't. It's like me saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm in business with Apple. You know why? I bought a MacBook Pro, so I have a partnership. I'm a partner of Apple. Whereas if you look at Visby, they actually have all. They're actually really Intel, Sensormatic. If you go to their websites and you got to really look. I mean, we've posted the links in the past, but those guys are actually marketing those solutions. They're actually involved. This is the real deal. So you're going to see some incredible stuff happening here. Yeah, I talked about Tetra just a few minutes ago. Tetra is waiting for a big move. So we're basically, I think if you look at the chart of Tetra, it's just waiting for that catalyst right now. Any minute. Ethan is back. RHT, that's what we're talking about right now. He's alive. I think he's in Louisiana, I think, right? So he survived the hurricanes and everything. I hope you have electricity right now. I hope you're getting this internet through electricity and not on a generator. So yeah, Visby is the real deal. Let's see here. Yeah, I think once this thing breaks at above $1, it's going to attract a whole new level of investor. I'm actually very surprised that, it's very strange. Like some companies, like some of the best companies, they kind of stay like under the radar. It's very weird. Like if they have something really great, like people don't get it for whatever reason. And all of a sudden everybody goes crazy and they chase it. And look, we saw the same thing happen with, let me go through the list. Every one of our big winners went through that stage, whether it was Cytodyne, that was a 20 bagger. It was not going anywhere for months. Nextech was not going anywhere for months. CBDT didn't go anywhere for a number of months. And again, these became 50 baggers, 20 baggers. Even Peak FinTech didn't go anywhere for a couple of months. I think Phoebe is a scam. I don't want to say scam, but I don't think it's a legitimate company. Let's see here. Visby. Yeah, they got some big things happening. Huge things happening. Look at this. You got electricity. Amazing. I mean, it's amazing. We're in America, and how is this possible not to have electricity for a week in a first world country? It's incredible. FCO. FCO has been, I haven't talked about FCO. FCO is just very frustrating. That chart is like, I mean, look at this. It's like waiting for a catalyst to break out. It's not going down. It doesn't want to go down. It's held up. To give some context, we introduced FCO at 6 cents, I think it was, right? 6 cents. It doubled on the first day, right? It went to like 12 cents. Ran to 40 cents, right? In like a month. And again, guys, here's what happens. If things run up too much, right away, they have to consolidate. So I think that's what's happening here. It's kind of looking for an excuse to go up. It's not going down, basically, which is very bullish, I think. Any like mining stock, resource stock that you see this chart pattern, I think it's a positive. So let's see, what did I cover? Oh, AIML. AIML is again on the move. So this thing broke out. Again, for context, we introduced this at, I think 70 cents last December. It basically doubled in like a week. It's been consolidating for the last couple of months. Now, what you saw about a week ago, 10 days ago, you had this really nice bottom here, like a double bottom, and you had a breakout on big volume, And all of a sudden today, I don't know, it's very surprising. It had a pullback. Let's take a look at the 1 hour chart. So yeah, it looks like it ran out of steam and then it was maybe making a comeback attempt. So I would keep an eye on this for tomorrow. I think we could see a strong turnaround in this thing, probably in the next day or so. We could see a nice turnaround. And, it's interesting because this thing broke above all the resistance at like 80 cents. So it should have really gone to like a $1.25, $1.50. Again, like I've said, sometimes things should have, could have, but they don't. So let's see what happens. I think we're right in that kind of there's a level of support right here at 80 cents. So we might see that thing pull back a little bit, but I think that's it. Yeah, I think it could definitely go back, maybe even higher. What is it? Yeah, I think, geez, I probably some massive drill results. ESE. They're putting out, look, I think their news is positive, right? The recent news, I don't think it's any major news to be candid. It's just nice, positive, productive things happening. I think in the case of ESE, what the market is looking for is, because the story that was told is 100 million in revenues with M&A. Now, they're on track to get there. I think with the current deal, so they're up to 20 million something. They're going to be at a 20 million run rate. They probably have a couple more deals in the pipeline. So that's what the market is waiting for. I think once ESC, announces, let's say, their next acquisition in the esports space, people are gonna, take notice, because look, anybody can say, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. They do one deal, okay, 2 deals, whatever. Once you do 3 deals, people start taking you seriously. They say, okay, this guy actually, they're executing on their game plan. So any kind of roll-up company, any roll-up strategy, once they do 3-4 deals, that's when people kind of jump on the bandwagon. Look, we saw that happen with CloudMD. Same thing. I think it's an interesting thing. Look, if there was anything if there was like a good thing, I'd be open to it. I haven't seen anything lately. That was like a hot theme years back. Yeah. FCO is in a good spot. The Tilray. I mean, again, I don't know. It's like look. I think my take on it is Tilray. Look, they're a cannabis deal, and they're busy with their own thing. It's like I don't think they want to get involved in like unrelated businesses, really, which is smart. Like I think companies really need to stay focused on like one big idea, right? Like really laser focus, one big thing. So Tilray, they should stick to cannabis, whatever it is. I mean, you don't see Tetra, taking positions in, I don't know, mushroom companies or whatever, right? It's good. Everybody needs to stick to one thing, like Relic, RHT, sticking to telemedicine, one vertical, laser focus. Let's see here. Hey man, listen, there's an old saying, buy the rumor, sell the news. Buy the rumor, sell the news. It's like by the time you see the thing out there, it's already, people are buying this thing based on NASDAQ or whatever. I mean, we can see this same thing happens with Skylight, with any number of companies. I don't know why there's this thing like, oh, NASDAQ is the promised land. It's the, NASDAQ is just, here's the problem, I think. Like again, in the example of Skylight, I think NASDAQ is the ideal market for them. The problem is they stopped promoting the stock, right? They dropped all, retail, they were building up, a strong retail following, right? I mean, that's what took the stock up, is people watching, Brad on these live streams, all that stuff. Let's not kid ourselves, right? Same thing with CloudMD, right? You know what? It's very annoying. I think when companies, they build up a retail following, they do these live streams and all that. Then all of a sudden they think, oh, we're too good for this. We're like an institutional, we're going to go in for institutional investors or this and that. It doesn't really work that way. The thing is, at the end of the day, you're still a small fish in the, when you're on NASDAQ, you're just a small fish in a big pond. On the CSE, the TSX, you're a big fish in a small pond. You got a retail following. You engage your retail investors, and that's what gets stocks moving. I mean, look what happened with GameStop, AMC. Those companies are smart, right? And those are New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ companies. Why are they engaging retail investors? You think there's a good reason? Obviously, right? So I think a big mistake for Skylight to stop the whole retail outreach. The stock looked like it kind of moving, but once you're on NASDAQ, all it means is you're just one out of thousands of companies now. And if you're looking for institutional investors, institutions are going to look at you compared to other companies in that space. So why are they going to pay, 15x, forward revenues for a Chinese deal when they can buy, which is priced to perfection for, whatever, when they can buy something which is, where they don't have any, geopolitical risk or whatever it is, US based or Canada based, whatever, at a lower multiple, What can I tell you? All right, so, okay. Oh, we got the super chat. Oh man, now I got to answer this guy's question. It's gonna make me feel guilty. Okay, here's my thing with Fobi. I've talked to their CEO a couple of times, in the past, and my experience was the guy. Actually, we were going to do something with him. He was going to come on our platform back, I don't know, 18 months ago, I think it was. March of 2020. And, we're doing this, that, there's a lot of bullshit basically. And, when I hear that type, I just kind of lose, I lose trust in people. It's just, there's no need for it. It's like, if you're going to do something, do it. If you're not going to do it, don't do it. It's like ridiculous. The whole, do they have revenues? I don't know. Do they have any revenues yet? Let's see. That's my take. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, look, it's a, look, I think again, like the thing with Touch, I don't know why they would get more involved. I mean, they're involved. They want to. I think they want to stay probably with cannabis. Again, this is just my take on it. Is they got their hands in a lot of. They want to focus on their main business, without doing deals in other companies, etc. I mean, this was something done a couple of years ago during the whole cannabis craze. We see companies doing all sorts of crazy deals. By crazy, I mean just, whatever, they do deals. Okay, so we covered AIML, right? AIML, VISB, RHT. So let me close out with the VISB chart, because I think this is the one that is The two stocks that I believe are going to be have basically the two stocks right now that are really set to explode over the next 7 days, short term, is Visby and Relic. So these two are in prime position. Visby, you can see this chart looking amazing. Relic, same thing right now. We're going to see a breakout here. And you know what else? I would also say Logic. I would say Logic is going to be like a stealth move. Logic, let's do that 1 hour chart again. Yeah, I think this is going to be a stealth move. You got to watch this thing once it breaks, let's say, above this moving average. Let's just say 385, 390. $4, again, this is the US. This also trades on the NEO exchange in Canada. Again, Logic, LGIQ on the NEO in Canada. So you could buy it there. If you want to be on the safe side, you want to, let's say, buy Logic at a breakout above $4. So that's kind of the pivot. You want to be long once it's above $4. That's kind of the safe. That's kind of the safe bet. Again, we're not advice or anything here. Yeah, torque. That's the word I would use. A lot of torque. I think Visby could be a massive mover. So you got Logic, Visby, RHT. Those are the three. I would say big ones for next week really is Visby and RHT tied for first place, and Logic after that, and then the others are waiting for they're waiting for a breakout. And again, we could see something happen any day with any of those charts. So next chart chat is going to be probably Sunday night. And hopefully we'll have some interesting market action tomorrow. And that's it. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. And I will see you all on the next live stream.